Hello and welcome to today's brochure review. So we're actually looking at some brochures I received almost 10 years ago now. At the time I owned a Mercedes 300 TE S124 and I really liked the look of the new S and W212 models. Now, at the time, they were very much out of affordability for me, but they're now beginning to sort of fall to a price level where, if I so desired, I could consider one of them. So let's have a look at the sort of brochures that we actually got. So they actually sent us a total of two brochures. We had one for the Saloon and Estate and also one for the Coupe and Cabriolet, and a separate price list for the Coupe and Cabriolet. Let's have a look at the most popular one first, which will be for the Saloon and Estate. So this colour of sort of silvery grey I've seen before with Mercedes materials. The handbooks for my old 300 TE were sort of pretty much this colour, and also same font was used as well. So it seems that something that Volvo and Mercedes are sort of quite sort of good at is keeping a sort of a level of continuity between the different generations of the same model family, and indeed the different generations of all of their products, because I think they still use this font even now. So we start off with the first impressions. Gives us a bit of an introduction to the new W212. Gives us some interesting facts. Talks about the dynamic side of the E-Class, especially with the E63. And then it starts going on to the general sort of heritage section. So we're talking about 6 decades of the finest saloons. And then focusing on the actual model itself. So it had, and certainly shared, a family resemblance with the C-Class at the time. If I remember rightly, the C-Class came first, and then this one was released a few years later. The big thing, certainly about Mercedes of this generation, was that you didn't feel shortchanged if you went for a model that was slightly lower down the range. You still got that sort of same level of comfort and build that you would have got from a model that was far more expensive. You could obviously tell if someone had gone sort of further down the range, because you would have had sort of a different treatment here at the front, different wheels, and there would have been changes to the interior as well. But it really sort of does quite labour the point of executive comfort, as you can see here. And unusually for a brochure, it's pretty much almost a book. It really is huge. I don't know how many pages are in here, but yeah, there's a lot of pages in here that we have to get through, so we're not going to spend too long on any of these sort of particular sections. Here again, we're talking about heritage with the S123 series there, and that was, I think, the first official Mercedes estate, if I'm not mistaken. So it talks here about it being the W123T. I would argue that it was probably an S123. They usually normally use S to denote the station wagons or estates. The T standing for tourism and transport, apparently. If you had an E on the end, it meant that it had electronic fuel injection, which translated to Einsprung something or other in German. But obviously if you had the T in the model name, it meant that you did have the estate version of the middle range luxury Mercedes. There was no sort of E-Class or S-Class at this time. Well, there was an S-Class because it was a superior class, but there was no sort of E-Class designation. It was the Mercedes 200 and the Mercedes 300. or the Mercedes 200D, 240D and 300D. There was no E-Class Mercedes designation. That really didn't come in until quite late in the 124 series run, sort of after the facelift. And then for the W210, it very much was the E-Class Mercedes. So I've got to admit the estate does look rather nice. It's quite a handsome car, in fairness. And it would be something that I would quite happily own. Very stylish lines, and in my view it's actually nicer looking than the W211 that preceded it, or the S211 rather. Nice range of interior options as well, so nice bit of ambient lighting going on there. And then we come on to the facts, apparently. So this is actually quite a thick divider, but here we talk about, so it obviously takes us through blue efficiency, environment and efficiency, diesel engines, petrol engines, transmissions, suspensions, so on and so forth. So let's have a look. So blue efficiency. What is blue efficiency? Well, apparently it obviously improves economy. It enables, there's obviously sort of eco start-stop on demand for ancillary components, low resistance tyres, as well as aerodynamic optimization and use of lightweight materials. There's blue tech for diesels, which obviously probably use in AdBlue. There's also hybrid and blue tech hybrid options. I don't even know if any of these actually, well, blue tech obviously did. I'm guessing, I think there were hybrid drivetrain options as well. Blue Zero, the drivetrains of tomorrow. Then it tells us about blue efficiency for the E-Class. So yeah, here we are. Eco Start Stop on the E200 CGI blue efficiency with 6-speed manual transmission. Aerodynamically enhanced radiator shutter on all 4-cylinder models and on the E350 CGI blue efficiency. Intelligent alternator for brake energy recovery. It's pretty cool. Optimized engines with direct injection, turbocharging and smaller displacements, which is why you had effectively I think it was a 2.2 litre diesel, or a 2 litre diesel, or 2.2, I can't remember, I think it was 2.2, but like BMW, the model number didn't directly correlate to the engine capacity. So say an E250 CDI was actually a 2.2 litre diesel, just with a higher power output. What else do we have? Shift point indicator for manual transmission models. Eco power steering pump, only active when required. Intelligent fuel pump, only uses the power it needs. Low resistance tyres on the 16 and 17 inch wheels. And the air conditioning compressor is only active when required. To be honest with you, a lot of these things, they're not new. Air conditioning compressor only active when required. Well, a lot of systems cycle the air conditioning compressor in and out, and that goes back to the 80s. A lot of systems will measure the temperature at the evaporator coil. If the temperature is at the point that it needs to be, then the air conditioning compressor clutch will disengage, and effectively the pulley will freewheel. If the temperature at the evaporator coil starts to go up, then the compressor is cycled back in again. It's not new, it's something that has been around for a number of years. Aerodynamically enhanced radiator shutter, that's a fairly new development, but it's also seen on Ford Focus of this particular era as well. Optimized engines with direct injection. Direct injection, yeah, certainly on a petrol, it's I'd say sort of a fairly modern development, certainly within the last 20 to 25 years. But it's taken a while to actually perfect it and make it consistently reliable. turbocharging and smaller displacements, well, Renault were experimenting with turbocharging and smaller displacements way back in the late 70s, early 80s. There was at least one turbocharged model in every single sort of model option within Renault's range. And it was usually used in an engine that was of a smaller capacity. So, for example, in the Renault Fuego Turbo, it used a 1.6 litre petrol engine, but you could still get a normally aspirated 2 litre petrol. But the 1.6 made more power because it was obviously turbocharged. Then we start to look at the diesel engines. We've got the 4-cylinder diesel engines, we've got the V6 diesel engines. So we have the E220, the E250 and the E200. I think these three use the same engine, there's just differences to turbocharging and other items. And then the V6 is quite a nice chunky output, 265 brake horsepower, 620 Newton meters of torque. Not bad at all, actually, really not bad. Nice picture of the 4-cylinder, and also things I like, these torque and power graphs. So 400 Newton meters of torque is developed from just below 1500 RPM all the way up to 3000 RPM, and then it starts to drop off until the red line. You don't get peak power until 3000 RPM, so it seems that 3000 RPM is actually the real sweet spot for this engine. But anything sort of after that, you lose torque, although you do still maintain the power up until around 4500 RPM. So probably the optimum performance will be derived between I'd say so probably 3000 RPM to 3500 RPM. That would be sort of your prime area of acceleration and performance before changing up again. That's why diesels nowadays have so many gears, as in, sort of 6 speeds are the minimum, so it can actually sort of make effective use of that very narrow power band. However, it is a nice flat torque curve, but ideally you want that torque to go on all the way at least until the red line, but with a diesel it's just not possible, unfortunately. Although it certainly seems to be a better story with the E350 CGI Blue Efficiency, which is a petrol engine, but peak torque is not developed until 3000 RPM, but you do get that peak torque all the way up until 5000 RPM. Then it starts to tail off and you get peak power output at just over 6000 RPM. But you're still not losing a huge amount of performance, but you don't have that sort of low-end grunt that you do with the diesels. So certainly for towing, the diesel would probably be my personal choice. But for sort of smooth and sort of sporty driving, I would probably go for the V6 petrol. There is also available a 7-speed automatic transmission. You can also get a 5-speed automatic transmission, and that is optional on E200 CDI, 220 CDI, 250 CDI, 200 CGI, and it's standard on the 250 CGI. 6-speed manual transmission is standard on all of the petrols, the smaller engine petrols, and all of the smaller diesels. That's a cutaway of the 7-speed transmission. I need to actually look up these transmissions and actually see how reliable they are, because I don't really know anything about Mercedes transmissions. The only experience I've had is with their earlier 4-speed units, which were pretty much, certainly in the 124 series, were pretty bulletproof, to be honest with you. There wasn't really very much that would go wrong with them. And they would sort of tend to respond very well to just regular servicing. We also have the option of, it looks like, electronically controlled suspension, which is quite cool. There's also airmatic suspension as well. And we also have a lot of things about safer driving, such as attention assist, night view assist plus, driver assistance package, Distronic plus, intelligent light system, adaptive high beam assist. So many things to assist you with safer driving. It's always quite interesting, certainly with premium manufacturers like Mercedes and BMW and Audi. They always make out that it's their models that have had all of this stuff first, when in actual fact it's developed by sort of third-party companies like Bosch or Valeo, however you want to pronounce, and offered to all manufacturers, albeit with changes to facilitate requirements for an individual manufacturer. I mean, a good example is this adaptive high beam assist. I have that particular feature on the Zafira Tourer. I never use it because it's not that good, but it's certainly something that I do have. When I say not that good, it's okay, but it doesn't cut out the high beam as soon as I would like. You do tend to sort of get a few people sort of flashing you when you're sort of approaching them, so I tend to leave it off and just, do it myself. Occupant and pedestrian safety. Mercedes have always had a good reputation when it comes to safety, so it's no surprise here to see that they're still continuing with that trend. Also talking about multimedia systems, this was something that was becoming very, very popular. Certainly back in the late 2000s and certainly back in 2011, it was really coming into the full swing of things. Electronic assistance as well, so a little bit about that. But the bit I'm looking forward to getting to is where we actually talk, not just about all of this stuff about climate control and seats and all of that sort of stuff. I want to start talking about trim levels and what you actually get. One nice thing though that you don't see on many cars these days is they still have wood trim. Wood seems to have gone out of fashion, which I think is a real shame. I love wood. I love wooden trimmed interiors. I think it looks classy, it's elegant, and it just sort of provides sort of a bit of warmth to an otherwise very grey cabin. Nice to see something that hasn't gone away on Mercedes estates. These side panels here that open up, probably on this side, storing a spare wheel or a puncture repair kit or whatever they have these days. These sliding rails in the floor, lashing points, and also underfloor storage as well. Very nice to see that those items are definitely still very much a thing. Now, one thing I don't know is, do they actually have a 7-seat option? We will soon find out. So that's the E63 AMG. This is the E63 AMG interior. So they seem to be sort of taking you straight to the top of the range and saying, here, this is what you want. This is the one you want. Well, yes, it is, but I don't think we can. I don't think everybody can afford that, unfortunately. That rear axle assembly there is very reminiscent of a setup they've been using since the W201 E190. So it's been sort of refined and adapted over the years, but they've always had, certainly since the early 80s, a very impressive multi-link setup. This front setup is completely different to certainly earlier Mercedes that came before it, because they have the McPherson strut as one complete unit plus rack and pinion steering, whereas certainly on the W210 and W124 the springs sat in a separate cup with the separated strut going into a strut tower. Certainly on the W210s and S210s the spring cup would rust and pop off, causing the front of the car to collapse. I haven't heard of a W124 or S124 doing that, but I'm sure as the years go on and the cars get older, you may sort of begin to see that. But a lot of W124s have sort of seem to have gone now, unfortunately. There's certainly few survivors, and the ones that are surviving are very nice indeed. So, This is what I like to see. We start at the base model, which is still an SE grade. So you think, oh, I've got the SE. You've actually got something that isn't too bad at all. But do you see what I mean about the different front light treatment and smaller wheels? That's how you know that you do have the more basic model. Plus the manual transmission there and the slightly more budget interior, lack of wood and other niceties. However, it looks like you can specify eucalyptus trim, which is optional. So you could actually deck your base model out with some nice wood trim if you so desired. 739, which is stamped aluminium, is available. It has artificial leather, so black or alpaca grey artificial leather, Artico artificial leather, very reminiscent of the MB Tex artificial vinyl leather that you used to get. Then you got the Avant-Garde, and you can see their different front end treatment there, different set of wheels. But you do actually have actual genuine real leather upholstery, and it generally just looks, just a little bit nicer inside as well. Trim wise, can we get some wood? Yes, we can. We can get optional burr walnut. Black ash is standard. Brushed aluminium is optional. Leather or Napa leather are two available options. I rather like these dark sort of brown tones, to be honest with you. I also like that. It's not often that you see this sort of colour leather interior in a car these days, which is a shame because I think it looks really nice. I really like that one as well, actually. That's the chestnut brown leather. Then we have the E-Class Sport. Flashier wheels. Again, another front end treatment change. What else do we get? We have that's disappointing. Artico artificial leather side bolsters and the centre section in Dynamica microfiber. So we've sort of gone down market again. However, it looks like we can still specify our chestnut brown leather or our natural beige, so that'll keep me happy. And I could also specify some nice black ash, make the interior look like a 1980s bookcase. Then we have the luxury package, and that really does look luxurious, with this sort of ruched effect on the door trims there. That gives us an Alcantara roof lining in alpaca grey or almond beige. Electric glass sunroof or panoramic sunroof upgrade. Sounds good. Wood-trimmed leather steering wheel in black ash on the V6 and V8 models only. So there's a good reason to go for a V6 or V8. Not that you actually need a reason to, sort of go for a V6 or V8. It should be a no-brainer because, bigger is better. Then exterior styling package options. All very nice. Nice exterior styling to go for. And we also have Designo. It's probably pronounced Designio or something like that. But this is sort of their equivalent of BMW's individual range. If you do find one with the Designo or Designo package, you will sort of have somebody's original sort of bad taste options. So they are sort of very subjective. It's sort of very much down to personal preference. Standard equipment, that's pretty good. Automatic climate control, you get a central display with a 5.8-inch screen. Multifunction steering wheel trimmed in Napa leather. LED tail lights, which is quite nice. You also get an intelligent light system with bi-xenon and LED running lights, although that's standard on the Avant-Garde and Sport. Optional extras, you've got this easy packing arrangement here, which is quite useful. Oh, I like that. This easy boot box thing, but it's for the Saloon only. These side blinds, that's quite nice. The Command multimedia system. The electric glass sunroof, which looks huge in traditional Mercedes style. That's one thing they always did very well, was sunroofs. They were normally enormous. 2-part panoramic glass sunroof. And then obviously the range of light alloy wheels. Many options of light alloy wheels available to bedeck your Mercedes. Then we have rather nice little child seat that you could purchase there. Some retailer fit accessories such as this salesman's coat hanger thing there. Very nice. Keep your Sirio Soterio suit in good shape, ready for your next powdered egg sales meeting. And a load of stuff about following the star, talking about Mercedes World at Brooklands, the Mercedes-Benz Museum, roadside assistance, Mercedes finance, Mercedes insurance, test drives, the interactive owner's manual. That's pretty cool. Then we have dimensions of the various vehicles. And the bit I like, paint finishes. Yes! Non-metallic paint. You've got a range of options here for the non-metallics. But let's forget about those, because non-metallic paint isn't very interesting. Metallic paint is interesting. I like this one, this one, this one, and that one, and at a push, that one, because silver always looks good. That's why it's called resale silver. It's very easy to sell on. It's very easy to sell on a car that is silver. It's an absolute pain to paint, but it's still a nice colour. Actually, hang on a minute. Non-metallic paint? Is it just these two? Does that mean I get this one as a metallic as well? Okay, I've changed my mind. This, and this. Oh, maybe that. Actually, they're all not bad, really, colour-wise. I wouldn't go for the white, because that will start to look a bit grotty after a few years. Especially if you don't look after it. Now we've got our technical data, which I will move the entire cumbersome brochure in front of the camera in a kind of conveyor belt type way. Feel free to pause at any point if you want to soak in some of the technical data. And done. One thing I am a little bit disappointed about was there didn't seem to be a 7-seat option on the Estates. I'm pretty certain you could get the 211 with a 7-seat option. You could certainly get the 210 with a 7-seat option. And it was a very desirable and quite popular option on the 124. Not sure if you get it on the 212, which is a bit of a shame. Then we move on to the coupe and cabriolet. To be honest with you, it's very similar to the Saloon and Estate, in all honesty. It's not really much terribly exciting in here. But I'll be honest with you, we have actually been going for half an hour. I might make this the article of a different video, if you so desired. Anyway, that was today's brochure. There we go. If you have enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button, don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching, take care, and see you soon.